Good morning, friends and neighbors. Dewey here. I haven't made a video in quite a long time. Taking a walk this morning. It's the first morning really this summer that I've gotten up this early and been able to get myself out because it's just so darn hot. I just crossed the intersection of North Avenue and I am on North Fulton. And I am just passing this little apartment building up on the hill there. I forget the number of it. Right now it looks like an old plantation house, doesn't it? Number 3214 North Fulton. So I don't have any particular goal today, anything in particular I was going to show you. I just realized I hadn't taken a walk in a while, and if I see anything interesting I will show it to you here and then just string it all together so it won't be an unedited long walk like I normally do. This is one of my favorite houses in Hapeville. The morning sun is hitting it so brightly right now that it's glaring. But I've always liked this house. It's number 3219 North Fulton. That direction is North Fulton and North Avenue. And I did decide to have the camera rolling at this point because there's one small change that happened down here. Well, a couple of them. So I will show you this. We're passing 3230. Right back there. It's a rental place that changes occupants quite often. This is 3236. This is actually the first house I ever recorded and photographed back in 2018 when I first moved here. I just thought it was so cute. The sun is right in your face, so you can't quite see it, but they keep it so beautiful. There's 3247. But what I was going to mention is up here, these apartments that were built, I think the year I was born, 1968. I can't be sure, but I think I looked that up at one point. They were built as, what was it? The name had something to do with the airport. Kitty Hawk Apartments, and right there they used to have a pool. You could see the old pool house, but it's been a long time because there are 3 trees growing on that spot now. But this is now just recently got changed to Bloom at Hapeville. So whatever company this is, they just bought this property, and they have had the property on the south side of town, over there where there used to be a nunnery. This is way before most of our times that I'm talking about, but there was an apartment complex over there across from the College Street School, College Street Elementary, on that same corner. That's been owned by Bloom since I've lived here. And then the other thing that I want to show you how it's further along. This is 3261. It was for sale last year for a brief time, or maybe earlier this year. Then it went off the market and they stripped it down to bare bones. It was like wide open. So somebody decided they needed to start over with 3261. That's 3259. But 3261 is getting a little facelift. It's common now in town, especially with these little houses, when they're getting renovated, it's a pretty quick job, and they put in these quite uninteresting little windows, in my opinion. And they never put any, I want to say accoutrement. They never put any design details on now, like shutters or anything like that. And so, in my opinion, it's not that interesting. But then maybe the buyer will do that. And here's 3265. All right, I'm just gonna move on with my walk and see what pops up next. Well, I'll show you this. This house, since I moved here in February of 2018, it's on the corner of North Fulton and Spring Street. It's pretty much been abandoned, and like that top window was open to the elements. And it's a huge corner lot, which has always surprised me that it hasn't been sold and 2 houses put on it. But this little house is being cleaned up right now. They've replaced that window. And there were Christmas decorations hanging here for the last 8 years, so nothing ever changed, and I always wondered if anybody lived here. This is 3273, but it looks like at least a little action is happening here. One of the things I've always liked is the aforementioned huge lot, because here in Hapeville right now, if you own something like that, you know, the odds are that you're going to sell it and put 2 or 3 houses on this lot. But one of my favorite things here is this old 1960s, maybe even 50s, I would guess 60s, just little carport that got put up there and has survived all these years. But it's an adorable little house, and it has a beautiful little corner lot. Be interesting to see what happens. So now I'm coming down from, this is North Fulton, going towards the school. Now I'm coming down Park. I always forget if this is Park View. Yeah, Park View. Coming down this way. This lot has always surprised me. This is the house on the corner there. That tiny little house that everybody would remember. The high school is right there. But this huge lot, it just surprises me that when all the development has been happening over the last few years, it's right next to 579. It's always surprised me that this lot has survived and not been developed on. It makes me happy. I like to see some of the land, you know, survive, but it has 2 beautiful trees still here. And up here, of course, is where Joe Wells Elementary used to be. You can look back at previous videos and see, I'm pretty sure I made film of it before it was torn down. And then, of course, I've walked up on the lot before, but a lot has happened on this property, a lot of memories. The lower parking lot. It's a nice, quiet morning. Let me get the sun out of your eyes. So I'm still standing here in the lower parking lot of Joe Wells, and I have a memory here. Trees falling, of course, in Hapeville. Huge old trees is very common, but when I first moved here in the spring of 2018, the first time I ever saw a tree fall, it was here. And I was stunned. There's hardly any, you know, there's just a little recess in the ground now, but this tree was huge, absolutely huge, at least 60, 70 years old. And it just fell across the parking lot and broke into all of these dramatic little pieces. And I'd never seen anything like that before, because I grew up most of my life in Florida, and we don't get big trees like that. So I always remember that. And while I'm here, I'll just show you across the street the 3 houses that I always think it's so interesting that it's so quiet here now. Absolutely no activity, but there would have been a time where 573, 567, and 561 would have been right across the street from all this activity. And I wonder, did any kids come home from school and just, that was their house right there, there. I think I have an old picture of someone sent me, a gentleman sent me, of himself as a teenager in the yard of this house, telling me that he did live right across the street from the school. And in his picture, it's taken facing this way, you can see that it was before this parking lot was here, and this was all still grass. And he told me that he used to come across, and this was his yard as well. I wonder what's going to happen with that land. It's owned by Fulton County. So, correction, all the years I've lived here, and it's Parkway, not Parkview. I'm at Parkway and Scout right now. Parkview's the other way. I always think this should have been named Parkview because you can literally see the park from here, but on the one that's called Parkview, you can't, but maybe it wasn't like that back in the day. But we're down by the baseball diamonds now. Look at this old beauty. She'll be coming down sometime within the next decade is my guess. I've walked back to here many times. I'll just give you a glimpse of the diamond. If you look back at my old videos, you will see where I walk through here and show you how this used to be a reservoir into the 40s, and the water for the spring runs right under here. But this was all water back in the 40s. I learned that when I found an old article about a little kid who drowned here, who lived over on lake. And that got me to exploring. All right, moving on. As I walk by here, I thought I would show you. Everybody likes to see the Hapeville baseball grounds. It's a little loud here right now because there's some work going on the corner there. They're working on the sewage system, it seems. But there's the scoreboard from behind. And it's especially bright and green today. And what I love is right across from 531 here, and 535 and 529, this beautiful row of crepe myrtle trees. I believe that's what these are, right? I'm pretty good at dating trees by looking at their trunks, but not with crepe myrtles. So I wonder if you all remember when these were put in or how old these might be. But they shade the batting cages right there. But isn't it a lovely shaded walk right here? I just love that these are here. Right across from 527, which has this beautiful old tree in its yard. I mean, look at that tree. My goodness. The games that these houses have seen being right across from the park like this. The old stone steps are all the way over there. The old stone bleachers built in the 30s during the Workers' Progress Administration era. And then passing on Parkway, we're passing Wheeler. And if I were to walk all the way up Wheeler this way to the end, I would get close to where I live on Walnut Street. Well, now I'm at the intersection of Parkway and at the curve where Old Jonesboro comes. The sun is hitting, and I've shown this in videos before. There's a huge house that got built on the corner there. It hasn't sold yet, but it looks like it might be happening soon. One thing that you do see a lot here in town now, and for a lengthier amount of time than you would have even a year ago, are for sale signs. And I know this house is Diane Dimmick's house. It recently went up for sale right on this curve, which is always fun to get in and out of. And I know this firsthand because there's a basement apartment and then another apartment up there. And when I convinced my son to move here 3 years ago, the owner of the house, Michael, 3360, he said, "You want to be roommates with Diane Dimmick?" to my son and his wife. And so for the first 2 years that they lived here, they lived right here in that house, right next to, as I've shown you before, in here, many of you locals know, there's an old cemetery, the Davis family cemetery. My son and I went in there and we found 2 gravestones. Most of them have been covered over by the years, but there are a lot of houses for sale. There's another one up here on the left, beautiful little white one. I'll show it to you when I get up there. But unlike even a year ago, this for sale signs are staying up a lot quicker. They're staying up a lot longer is what I'm saying. Things aren't selling as quickly as they did before. Here it is, 3349 Old Jonesboro Road, the White House. It's adorable. Cranford Homes and Realties. It's a local realtor. Many of you probably know that family. But if you see a realty sign or a house is for sale in town, it's usually under the auspices of Cranford. But it's a beautiful house. Just a thought that I'm having about this Church of Christ as I pass it across from 3317 and 3313. Once again, there would have been a time where this would have been quite a view, very busy, especially on Sundays. Yesterday was Sunday, and I walked by here and noticed the entire day there was no activity. So I'm guessing that no services are held here anymore, even though it says Casa de Pan The House of Bread Church, Servicios en Español, próximamente. Oh, okay. So what that says is, if I'm not mistaken, próximamente means soon. I'll have to check that to make sure. But yeah, oh, and they've got a new van, Casa de Pam. Okay, so that church is hopefully going to be active again, and we're coming up to North Avenue and Old Jonesboro Road. And if you were to go right here, there would have been a time where you would have crossed 75. Is that what that is? I always even after years, I can't remember which way is 75 and which way is 85, but down there, I think 75, yeah. Cross the bridge to go over to Kmart and such. We're at the corner here. This is 425. And then over here, 3301. And that's looking west on North Avenue. I noticed there's another Cranford Realty sign, number 3294 is for sale. Old Jonesboro Road, 3294 Old Jonesboro Road. Another big, huge old tree. It's been here forever. Look at that. Look at the roots on that thing. But this is 3294. Does anybody know anything about this house or any history of this house? Here's a little tidbit of information for you. I'm at the intersection of Walnut and Old Jonesboro right now at 437, this old piece of property here. This is going on around town right now, everywhere. Like all of the corners are being, not all of them, obviously that one doesn't need it, but all around town. You can see the cones down there. These are being made accessible, and ramps are being added, which is a good thing until it happens on your corner, but they're pretty quick about it. They did our corner a couple of weeks ago, and I remember waking up and saying, wait a minute, isn't public work not supposed to happen until 8 in the morning? And it was 7:30, so I was a little miffed. But at the same time, it's ridiculous to live in a small town and get upset when improvements are being made. It's going to inconvenience you to convenience you at some point. So I let it go. They did their job and they did it well. This house has been for sale for a while, 447. I still call it a new build, even though it's been here. It was built when I moved here, so it's at least 8 years old. But this is not a Cranford home. But also, this one has been sitting on the market for a long time too. We're on Walnut Street, by the way. This is 456. There was an elderly woman that lived here at 460 for at least the past decade, much, much longer. I thought she'd be here forever. I don't know why she's not here anymore, but it's empty and it makes me sad to see. Another new build from a few years ago, 451. Before they built all of these, 463 was renovated. I remember this was all empty and there were big trees cut down. I have video of it if you want to go back and check it out. $467, owned by the guy who is down at the corner where you heard the dog barking. He seems to be closing in on 90 years old, but he kind of just uses this for storage, it seems. And we're coming up to Wheeler and Walnut, and I'll be home soon. And you can see they've done more work on the corner here, and more work on the corner there, more work there. And then what happens here in town now is when a new house is built, I could show you it down here. When a new house is built, for example, if they knock this down and built a new house, they would be required to add a sidewalk now. And that's how we're filling in the sidewalks where there previously were none here in Hapeville. This house has been under renovation for the last few years. Last week, those branches broke and fell onto the wires and knocked our power out, but they were quick to get out here and cut it down, but now this dude whoever owns this place is getting notices from the city saying, come clean this up. Yeah, so you see how there's no sidewalk here, but when they built their houses next to ours, they had to put in sidewalk. Okay, it was kind of a cut and paste job today, different from past videos, but I hope you enjoyed it, and create yourselves a great day.